So hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Reecee News, and both of the topics today deal with physical Switch games. And physical media is something that I've always found to be very important, so I kind of wanted to discuss these topics here. So the first one deals with a game franchise that I may or may not be obsessed with. You probably see where I'm going with this, because it's about Paper Mario, of course. And this deals with Origami King, of all games, with the physical version of this game. Since something interesting happened recently, and I mean, not really in a good way. This is really a weird decision that I don't really understand entirely. That is, they stopped printing copies of the game. They stopped, basically they stopped selling these at major retailers, like the physical version of the game. You could buy the digital version of the game, obviously, like either at major retailers or on the eShop, as you would normally, but you can't buy a physical version of Origami King, which I think is kind of crazy. Like, this game isn't even 4 years old yet. It's still, like, a very recent Switch game. I mean, yeah, it has been out for a few years. I can't believe it's almost 4 years old now. That's still crazy to me, but, still, it's not an old game. It's still a very recent Mario game. But it's just kind of weird that they're, not printing copies anymore and everything. And Nintendo has done this on the Switch before, with a few different games. One that comes to mind is Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is another very weird situation, especially because of how popular that game was. I forgot when they stopped printing copies of the game, but it was before Definitive Edition released, and everything with, that game. But, I was looking for copies of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 a couple years ago, and they were actually pretty expensive to get a sealed copy of it. I mean, sure, you can get, a used copy of it for very cheap, like you can with a lot of Switch games, but, a sealed copy, when I last checked, it was $80 USD, which was kind of crazy. So, I just think that's kind of weird, how they stopped printing games, even though, it's fairly recent and popular. But there is a reason why they could have stopped producing copies of Origami King. And I think that's because of the Thousand Year Door remake, since they don't want two Paper Mario games physically on the shelf, since that would be a bit confusing for consumers. And I mean, I can kind of understand that mindset, but I don't really agree with it. I mean, and I know some of you probably watching are thinking, wouldn't you be excited about that? You love Thousand Year Door, and I do! Thousand Year Door is one of my favorite games of all time, and I like it a lot more than Origami King. Origami King, I liked. It was a pretty good game. But I was kind of critical of it. It didn't really feel like a proper return to form to me. And I have criticized it quite a lot of times. It didn't really feel like a return to the form for the Paper Mario series. I kind of felt like it was doing its own thing. And I thought it was good. Don't get me wrong. But it still wasn't the Paper Mario game that we were hoping for. So, I mean, even with those circumstances, and even though I want Thousand Year Door to get as much attention as possible, and as much sales as possible, I hope Thousand Year Door sells 3 million plus units. And I do think that is possible, because, the Switch does have a huge install base right now. So, I still don't think this was a good decision. Because I really think these games should be accessible to people. If someone wants to play Origami King, they shouldn't have to go out of their way to play it if they want a physical copy of it. I just don't think that's right. Even though, with my opinions of the Paper Mario series, I still think that Origami King should be as widely accessible as the Thousand Year Door remake. And just because of my love of physical media and just things like that in general, I just think like all first-party Switch games possible should be widely accessible and everything. So I just think this was a weird decision. Like, I don't know. I know a lot of Paper Mario fans are gonna act weirdly about this. Some people are gonna be like, finally, people don't have to play this crappy game anymore. And then some people are gonna be like, Thousand Year Door was the cause of this. I will never forgive Thousand Year Door fans. But, I could definitely see a lot of controversy spawning from that in the Paper Mario community, because of course that will happen. But yeah, I just don't think this was a very good decision, regardless of my views on the Paper Mario series. So the next topic here is also a pretty interesting one with physical media, and it's actually a more positive one, which I am very happy about, because the whole reason I didn't even buy this game was because it didn't have a proper physical release on Switch. But now it does! So I'm probably going to be getting it sometime soon. And that is Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. And I really like the first game. The first game was pretty fun. I mean, it does have some flaws and everything, and it isn't the perfect platform fighter, but it is pretty fun. And I did enjoy it quite a lot, especially since I love both Smash Bros. And Nickelodeon. I kind of like the take that they went with this. I like the franchises that they represent here and how they handled it. And Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 definitely seems like a pretty big upgrade from the first game mechanically. Even though it doesn't have all the characters, I still think like there's quite a lot that they did. I think there's even like a story campaign here as well, which is really cool. But it's finally getting a physical release on the Switch, and I am very happy about that, because originally it got a box with the code in it, which was really weird, and I hate how they did that with some Switch games. But they're finally, like at some retailers, they're finally rolling out versions of the game with cartridges and everything, which is great. I'm glad that they're actually doing this now, and this really should have been from the start. Like, it was weird how they even, like, launched the game, or launched the physical version, well, the pseudo-physical version of the game, like, a month after this game released. There was really no point for that. I feel like they should have waited until they were able to produce cartridges for this to actually do a physical release. So it's pretty weird with the situation with that, but I am just glad that it finally has a physical release now. And I'm probably going to be picking it up sometime soon. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Twitter if you want to. Goodbye.